I think I'm on my next path for the second half of my life, and I feel really excited about it. And I'm struggling with how to deliver it.
Well, it's not your job, so stop struggling and let it unfold.
Okay. Well, I'm looking for some guidance in how to let it unfold.
Stop fussing about it.
Okay. I'm a neuropsychologist, and we've discovered enormous and wonderful things about the fact that we don't have to have dementia, that we can recover from brain injury, that we don't have to get sick, and that you don't have to look forward in your later years to either being poor or dying of some horrible disease, which are all prevailing fears that the medical profession has created and the market crashes have created in our population.
So you're saying that the majority of the people who surround you and always have given the majority of their attention to the conditions that surrounded them and therefore offered a vibration, but they don't have to do that.
Yes.
Good. That's a very good thing to say.
And I've decided to start imparting a lot of this new information about wonderful things we've discovered about the brain until you're 80, 90. It never stops growing. Of course, people don't really realize that. They think it's dying from day one because that's been what they've been told. And I've started telling it to friends of mine who are nuns, because I used to be a nun, and I decided to go and share some of this with them and see how they reacted to it. And they're thrilled because, of course, they believe. And when they hear something, they recognize it. I don't find my patients reacting the same way, especially those that don't have belief. And I'm trying to understand what it is their desire that I can relate to, that I can move, or I can share information at where they can receive it.
Well, when you know what you know, so here's the desire that you are asking for that is born out of all of this. I want, you're saying to the universe, I want words, examples, and methodology to help people understand that they can have what they want.
Yes.
So now that desire is out there. That's a done deal. In other words, that methodology now exists in your vibrational escrow. The path for it to unfold now exists in your vibrational escrow. So now, we love giving this to you in this way. How will you know when you are moving toward this that's waiting for you in vibrational escrow and when you're not?
Mm-hmm.
How will you know?
When I'm moving towards it, I'm loving it.
When you say things like, I know it is possible, you move toward it. When you say, the nuns get it, you move toward it. When you say, but my patients don't, you move away from it. When you say, but not all of my patients don't, you move toward it. When you say, but most of them do, you move away from it. When you say, but some of them understand, you move toward it. When you say, and more of them will. When you say, there is so much around that is giving us reason to know this. In other words, you just have to talk yourself. You have to apply the same process to what you want that you are going to ask them to apply to what they want. How about that? Can you hear how it's exactly the same thing? You're saying they have a situation that makes them believe contrary to their own well-being. And we say, right. How's that different from what you just said? You just said, what I want is a way to impart knowledge, but they're not listening. And we say, so once you figure out how to alter your beliefs about them not being able to hear so that you expect them to hear, then you can teach them how to alter their beliefs about what they expect.
So what I'm trying to understand is vibrational escrow. I mean, we have a society that has believed that this is our fate, and it's not. But isn't there a lot of vibrational escrow that some people have actually built up over the market crash or over seeing their parents die of Alzheimer's and think, I'm next?
There are many beliefs that are very strong vibrations in people that are not serving them. Right. But every time they activate one by giving attention to it, they feel negative emotion. And if you can help them understand that that negative emotion is them refusing to let themselves thrive in the way that life is causing them to try to thrive, now you've got somebody who can understand. In other words, if you can help them understand the power of the direction of their own thought, you will begin to have example after example that in time the medical community can point to. We want to talk a little bit about this dementia and Alzheimer's because we want to say to you that there are people who have been resistant for a good deal of their life experience, who now, frankly, have deciphered enough of life that they are now withdrawing from it. And the dementia that they feel is not a bad thing from which they need recovery. It's their easy release into non-physical. In other words, consider this. So what they want is well-being, and what they want is to remember who they are, and what they want is wellness, and what they want is freedom, and what they've got is pain and discord. What they've got is a life that they do not enjoy anymore. And so as they withdraw their attention through the dementia from these things that have got them pointed upstream, they allow their boat to turn a little, and they allow their boat to turn a little, and they allow their boat to turn a little. And then as they stop the resistance, their boat turns and they go right into non-physical, where all that they seek is. Hadn't thought about it in that way at all, had you?
No, I usually think of illness of any form as something we don't choose.
Well, we are not saying that anyone would choose it, but often it's the path of least resistance. That's why people choose drugs. The drug makes them feel better because the drug causes them to defocus. And when they defocus, they stop pushing so hard in opposition and they begin going with the flow a little bit more. And so you're really onto something. We love it that you are understanding that the power of the mind is what it is, and that anyone can accomplish anything. We want everyone to understand that there is no disease that a person cannot receive full recovery from, because the disease is just the way it is so aptly named. It is opposition to ease. And when you stop the opposition to ease, the ease begins to happen right away. And we think that the thing that keeps more of you from understanding these basic laws that are so prevalent and so easy for us to discern and acknowledge. We think the thing that trips so many people up is that it doesn't feel like enough for them to just stop pointing in opposition and to get turned in the stream. They want more immediate results. And as a result, they are not happy enough in the relief that they keep finding the relief. In other words, if once you stop turning against the current and you let the stream begin to carry you, if you now know what that means, the momentum will pick up and your life will get better and better right away. But if when you turn and you feel a little relief and then you say, but it's still not enough because what I want is still so far away from me, now you turn back again. And it's that propensity, that's that human propensity that you are struggling with. It's that propensity to notice what is, and that's why we pointed out to you just now, you've got it too. That propensity to say, but this is where we now are, and this is where we want to be. And we say, you've got to be happy that you made the turn. And that has got to be enough. That's what you've got to convince people of. Let the patients that you're working on say in your own mind, and say it over and over again as you are getting ready to interact with anyone, they are where they are. And it has to be enough for me that I'm able to help them just stop beating the drum that has them pointed so far that way. I don't need an instant healing. I don't need a personality transplant. I don't need to uproot all of their beliefs and replace them with more productive beliefs. All I need is just to find a way right here and now of getting them to do a little less of this. And when I do that, when I make that happen right now, with this person that I'm interacting with, when they stop doing that, the natural forces of the universe will cause them to begin moving a little more. And they'll gain a little insight. And then as I show them again, they'll gain a little more insight. And as I show them again, they'll gain a little more insight. And if I can convince them that for now, the best we can do is make them feel better emotionally, if I can get them really aware of their emotional journey, if I can get them to stop taking score of how much they've got going on with their brain or how much the x-rays are saying, if I can distract them from the reality of what is and get them focused upon the improvement in their emotion, now I know I can help them affect real progress in their experience. And the slightest little glimpse of progress is hope. And hope's that way.
I actually know exactly how to do that with brain damage, and I've been doing it for 20 years, and they end up doing things I couldn't even imagine they were going to be able to do. But dementia confuses me.
That's because dementia is not that which they are intending to recover from. It is their way, their easy way into non-physical.
So it really is their choice.
It is the path of least resistance to get them to the full functioning being that they are. But they're at the place that they have to die to get there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's why Esther noticed with her mother, as her mother was experiencing very powerful dementia. And at first, Esther wanted to coax her back because there were times when she was more vivid and alert and times that she just wasn't. And of course, Esther enjoyed those vivid times more. And so Esther selfishly wanted to sort of encourage that. Mm-hmm. But in time, she came to understand that that was sort of working against the bigger plan that her mother had going on. And so Esther was satisfied to allow her mother to find that way of withdrawing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that are tired of living and afraid of dying.
Yeah.
They need dementia.
Yeah.
Well, on that happy note...
It actually is.
Well, it's happy for us.
It is.
You should see the parties we have as you reemerge into non-physical. Oh, what a party it is. Oh, as someone withdraws their attention and whoosh, comes into non-physical, the first thing that happens, you should hear it. In fact, you can tune into it if you want to. Laughing, 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 laughing. And you know what? Not us. We're not laughing. When you already know the end of the joke, it's not as funny. They're laughing because they're just figuring it out. All of that struggle for no reason whatsoever, that's a punchline. That is a punchline. They stand in amazement and they run around looking for others who have newly reemerged into non-physical. And the conversation that they have is, I just can't believe that they're making such a big hairy deal of being physical. Can you? That's what the new ones into non-physical say. All that consternation and all that struggle, when all along we had it, all along we were worthy, all along you can't get it wrong, all along we never get it done, all along the whole earth experience was for the expansion of the universe, which is inevitable, so there was no way we could fail. The worst we could do is just screw up our own life and keep ourselves from joy. That's the worst thing that could happen. That's what they say. And we're wanting you to understand that it's time to stop doing that. It's time to turn and go with the flow and be the joyful beings that you are, because you can't get it wrong and you never get it done, and you're doing your part by being here. And it's time for you to begin enjoying and embracing the magnificent addition that you are personally, specifically offering to this expanding universe. And when you let you in on what you have accomplished, you feel fabulous. And when you deprive yourself of even a small part of it, you don't feel so good. It's just that simple. There is great love and respect and appreciation for the worthiness of that which is you. And for now, we are completely satisfied and complete.